Hello and welcome back to the Hypnohelix. Tonight, we're taking a gentle journey into the secret lives of plants. From their silent roots to their listening leaves, we'll explore a world that's far more active and clever than it appears. This is a universe where growth is a patient art, and every moment is a slow dance of light and chemistry. I hope this video helps you wind down. But if you find yourself staying awake, don't worry, at least you'll be learning something new. It's not a bad way to spend a sleepless night. Before we begin, if you find yourself enjoying the quiet world of science, please consider tapping the like button and subscribing. It's a small action that helps more sleepy minds find their way here. I'd also love to know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. Feel free to share in the comments. It's always amazing to see how far these quiet journeys reach, so get comfortable. Let your thoughts drift and slow down, like a time lapse of a sunflower turning toward the sun. A quick reminder, this video is for relaxation and education only. It's not medical advice, a cure for insomnia, or a substitute for being kind to your houseplants, though that last one is always a good idea. Let's begin. It's easy to underestimate plants. They don't move with the urgency of animals. They don't bark, blink, or scurry away. They simply sit there, green and still. But if you look closer, you'll discover that plants are not just passive decorations. They are astonishingly complex organisms, built with incredible resourcefulness and finely tuned systems for survival. So, how exactly does a plant's body function in a world where moving an inch a day is considered a marathon? To start, a plant is made of three main parts: roots, stems, and leaves. These parts work together in a beautiful, coordinated system, trading water, nutrients, and sunlight to stay alive and thrive. Each part has a unique job, making the plant a true masterpiece of natural engineering. Hidden beneath the soil, they do far more than just hold the plant in place. They act like a sponge, constantly soaking up water and essential minerals. But roots are also explorers. They can sense gravity, moisture, and even obstacles like rocks, actively growing toward nutrients and away from toxins. A single tree's root system can extend outwards 2 or 3 times wider than the tree is tall, forming a complex, sprawling, and responsive network. In some cases, the roots of neighboring plants can even fuse together, forming a kind of underground resource-sharing network. Next is the stem, which serves as the plant's main structural support and transportation hub. Its key roles are to hold the leaves up to the sunlight and to transport fluids between the roots and leaves. Inside the stem, 2 major systems run like biological highways: the xylem and the phloem. The xylem is a one-way street, carrying water and minerals upwards from the roots. This process is powered by transpiration, where water evaporating from the leaves pulls more water up from below, like a living straw. The phloem, on the other hand, is a two-way street, transporting sugars produced during photosynthesis from the leaves to the rest of the plant. Think of it as the plant's own postal service, quietly delivering energy wherever it's needed. These are marvels of natural engineering, designed to capture sunlight and absorb carbon dioxide to produce glucose through photosynthesis. Their flat, broad surfaces maximize sunlight exposure, while tiny pores on their undersides, called stomata, allow gases to enter and exit. These stomata can open and close to help the plant conserve water. Inside each leaf are chloroplasts, tiny green powerhouses containing chlorophyll that captures the sun's energy. The shape and structure of a leaf often reveal its environment. Pine needles, for example, reduce surface area to conserve water, while broad banana leaves maximize light capture in tropical settings. Each leaf tells a story about how the plant has adapted to survive. These are marvels of natural engineering, designed to capture sunlight and absorb carbon dioxide to produce glucose through photosynthesis. Their flat, broad surfaces maximize sunlight exposure, while tiny pores on their undersides, called stomata, allow gases to enter and exit. These stomata can open and close to help the plant conserve water. Inside each leaf are chloroplasts, tiny green powerhouses containing chlorophyll that captures the sun's energy. The shape and structure of a leaf often reveal its environment. Needles, for example, reduce surface area to conserve water, while broad banana leaves maximize light capture in tropical settings. Each leaf tells a story about how the plant has adapted to survive. If you could shrink down and enter the soil, you'd find a bustling, hidden world beneath your feet. This underground metropolis is where plant roots form vast, dynamic networks that communicate and interact with one another in surprisingly sophisticated ways. The roots are the plant's foundation, anchoring it, absorbing nutrients, and acting as a frontline sensor array that constantly tastes the soil. One of the most fascinating aspects of root biology is the partnership with fungi. These special fungi, known as mycorrhizal fungi, form a mutualistic symbiosis with plant roots, meaning both parties benefit. The fungi wrap around or grow into the plant's roots, creating an interface to exchange nutrients. The fungi deliver hard-to-reach minerals like phosphorus and nitrogen from the soil, and in return, the plant pays them in sugar, which it produces through photosynthesis. Scientists have nicknamed this vast underground communication and resource-sharing network the Wood Wide Web. Through this network, trees and other plants can pass chemical signals and even share nutrients with their neighbors. If one tree is under attack by insects or is suffering from a drought, it can send a warning signal through the fungal network. Nearby trees, upon receiving the alert, can prepare their own defenses or conserve water. Older, established trees, sometimes called mother trees, have even been observed supporting young, shaded saplings by transferring sugars and nitrogen to them through these fungal connections. This behavior challenges the idea of plants as strictly self-interested loners. Competition and kin recognition. Not all root interactions are cooperative. The underground world is just as competitive as it is collaborative. Plants growing in close quarters often compete fiercely for resources. Some plants even release chemical compounds into the soil to inhibit the growth of nearby rivals, a process known as allelopathy. Black walnut trees, for example, are notorious for releasing a compound called juglon, which is toxic to many other plant species, giving them a competitive edge. Interestingly, the level of cooperation can vary. While some plants seem to recognize their relatives and behave less competitively, others will ramp up the rivalry if resources are scarce. This suggests a complex dance of competition and cooperation, with the outcome shaped by the environment and the specific species involved. Roots are also incredible sensory organs. They can detect changes in water and nutrient concentrations, soil texture, pH levels, and even physical barriers. They explore, probe, and redirect their growth, always moving toward areas with more resources and away from toxic or barren zones. There's even evidence that roots can detect vibrations, with some studies showing they will grow toward the sound of running water. Even if no water is present, The importance of the underground world, the health of an entire ecosystem, often hinges on what's happening below the surface. When these underground networks are thriving, the plants above are more resilient to drought, disease, and environmental stress. This understanding has led to a greater focus on soil health in agriculture and gardening. Practices like crop rotation and reduced tillage help preserve these root networks and support beneficial fungi and bacteria. Ultimately, the world beneath our feet is a vast, living web of relationships, a reminder that what we do above ground has a profound impact on the hidden world below. It may be silent and hidden, but it is never still. How plants sense the world. It's easy to think of plants as passive, but they are actually some of the most observant organisms on Earth. While they lack the eyes, ears, and noses we have, they've developed their own sophisticated senses to gather information from their environment. Licensed by Google, they can detect light, gravity, touch, temperature, moisture, and even sound, all on a different timescale and wavelength than we're used to noticing. Sight without eyes plants are incredibly good at seeing light. They can tell how much light there is, where it's coming from, how long it lasts, and even its color. This is thanks to light-sensitive proteins that act like internal photoreceptors. Phytochromes, for instance, detect red and far-red light. When a plant detects a higher ratio of far-red light, it knows it's being shaded by other plants and will respond by growing taller to reach the sooner phenomenon known as shade avoidance. Plants also use other photoreceptors to detect blue light, which helps regulate everything from a seedling's growth to the positioning of its leaves. Some plants, like sunflowers, even track the sun's movement across the sky to maximize photosynthesis. This ability to interpret light allows plants to make architectural decisions and optimize their growth. Touch, sound, and time. Plants are also highly sensitive to physical contact, an ability called the. This is what you see when a vine wraps itself around a trellis or a tendril curls after brushing against a surface. The most famous example is the mimosa plant, whose leaves fold inward almost instantly when touched. This rapid movement is driven by changes in water pressure within the cells, showing a plant's immediate response to touch. Beyond light and touch, there's growing evidence that plants can also detect sound. In controlled experiments, some plant roots have been shown to grow toward the sound of running water, suggesting they can detect vibrations to guide their search for resources. Just like humans, plants have internal clocks that run on roughly 24-hour cycles, known as circadian rhythms. These rhythms allow them to anticipate environmental changes like sunrise and sunset. Plants continue to follow these cycles, even in total darkness, which helps them regulate processes like leaf movement and flower opening to align with the activity of pollinators or to conserve water at night. This quiet, invisible rhythm governs much of a plant's daily life. In summary, a plant's body is a marvel of engineering, equipped with a suite of senses that make it a highly observant and adaptive organism. It's a living system that's constantly gathering information and making strategic decisions to thrive in its environment. It's clear that plants can sense their surroundings, but how do they integrate all of this information to make decisions? The answer lies in their complex system of internal communication. Plants don't have a central brain, but they use a decentralized network of chemical signals to process information. This includes hormones, signaling molecules, and even electrical impulses. One of the most remarkable examples of this is how plants adapt their physical form in response to their environment. This is known as phenotypic plasticity. A plant of the same species might grow tall and leggy in the shade to reach for sunlight, while another in full sun might grow short and bushy. The roots will grow deeper in dry soil to search for water, or spread wide when nutrients are scarce. These aren't random actions. They are finely tuned adjustments based on a constant feedback loop between the plant's sensors and its surroundings. Specialized survival tools beyond their basic structure. Many plants have evolved especially unusual body parts for specific purposes. For example, the thin spiral structures on climbing plants like peas are called tendrils, which act like fingers, wrapping around supports to help the plant reach the light. Thorns on a rosebush or spines on a cactus are modified leaves or stems that serve a defensive purpose, keeping away would-be grazers. Underground, plants have developed sophisticated storage units like tubers and bulbs. A potato, for instance, is a swollen underground stem packed with energy reserves. This allows the plant to endure tough seasons and regrow when conditions are right. Onions, garlic, and tulips use similar strategies, storing energy in bulbs for a sunny spring. And of course, there are flowers and fruits. Flowers are the plant's reproductive structures, often brightly colored to attract pollinators like bees. And birds, inside, pollen is produced and transferred to other plants to create seeds. A fruit, which is a mature ovary, is simply evolution's way of encouraging animals to help disperse seeds. From sticky burrs that cling to socks to the juicy berries we eat, plants have countless strategies to ensure their next generation gets a head start. A quiet elegance. Many plants exhibit indeterminate growth, meaning they can continue to grow new leaves, stems, and roots throughout their entire lives, as long as the conditions are right. This is unlike animals, whose body plans are largely fixed after a certain age. All of this happens with a kind of quiet elegance, with no central brain or muscles. A plant's body is a self-building, solar-powered marvel. It's a system refined over hundreds of millions of years that can filter air, anchor soil, and create its own food out of sunlight. A plant's body is a testament to the power of slow, deliberate changes and the calm confidence of being exactly where it needs to be. Touch and motion. Plants can't reach out and feel things like we can, but they're incredibly sensitive to touch. This ability, called thigmotropism, is what makes a vine wrap around a trellis or a tendril curl after brushing against a surface. A more dramatic example is the Venus flytrap, which has tiny trigger hairs on its lobes. It's a precise mechanism. The trap only snaps shut when a hair is touched twice within a short period, so it doesn't waste energy on false alarms. But touch isn't the only way plants detect motion. There's also evidence that they can sense sound. While they don't have ears, they can respond to vibrations. Studies have shown that roots will grow toward the sound of running water, even without any water being present. This suggests plants use tiny mechanoreceptors to detect pressure changes, helping them find resources or even listen for the quiet crunch of a caterpillar's jaws. Chemical detection and gravity. Plants are masters of chemical detection, constantly sampling the air and soil for cues. When a plant is attacked, it can release a cloud of volatile organic compounds (VOCs) into the air. This serves as a warning signal to nearby plants, which can then ramp up their own defenses. It's like a chemical whisper. Danger, aphids, at table 2. This eavesdropping can happen between plants of the same species or even between different ones, showing a nuanced form of communication. Plants also have a strong sense of gravity, a behavior known as gravitropism. Roots grow downward, while shoots grow upward. Inside plant cells are tiny, dense structures called statoliths, which settle in response to gravity, providing a directional signal. If you tilt a plant on its side, the stem will curve upward within hours or days, correcting its orientation. This ensures that roots always go into the soil and shoots reach for the sky. Moisture and temperature plant senses are a complete toolkit. Roots can detect tiny differences in moisture concentration, a behavior called hydrotropism. They're like living divining rods, accurately growing toward areas with more water. Plants also use temperature to guide their life cycle. Many require a period of cold before they flower, a process called venorization, which ensures they don't bloom too early and get hit by a late frost. This suite of senses gives plants a remarkably detailed picture of their environment, so the next time you walk past a tree or tend to your houseplants, remember that they aren't unaware. They're quietly paying attention to the light, the air, the touch of the wind, the moisture in the soil, and maybe even the subtle sound of your footsteps. They are rooted in place, but not disconnected. They are still, but not silent. And they are listening, always, in their own green and patient way. The magic of photosynthesis. There's a magical feeling to watching sunlight filter through leaves on a quiet morning. In a way, it's the world quietly recharging. Every beam of sunlight that lands on a leaf is pure energy, ready to be transformed. The amazing alchemy that plants perform is called photosynthesis, and it's one of the most elegant and essential processes on Earth. At its core, photosynthesis is how plants turn light energy into chemical energy. They take sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to create glucose, a sugar molecule that powers everything they do. And in the process, they release oxygen, an incredibly generous and fortunate gift for the rest of us. The main actors in this process are the chloroplasts, tiny green organelles inside plant cells. These chloroplasts are filled with chlorophyll, the pigment that gives plants their green color and is responsible for capturing light energy. Chlorophyll is a genius at absorbing the red and blue parts of the light spectrum, while reflecting green light, which is why plants appear green to us. The two stages of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis happens in two main stages. 1. Light-dependent reactions. As the name suggests, these reactions require light. They take place in the thylakoid membranes inside the chloroplasts. When chlorophyll absorbs sunlight, it uses that energy to split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen is released as a byproduct, floating out into the air. The hydrogen, meanwhile, is stored in high-energy molecules like ATP and NADPH, which act as the plant's rechargeable batteries. To the Calvin cycle light-independent reactions, this stage doesn't require light directly. It takes place in the stroma, the fluid-filled space within the chloroplast. Here, the plant uses carbon dioxide from the air and the energy from its ATP and NADPH batteries to build glucose molecules. Glucose is the plant's universal building block. It can be used for immediate energy, stored for later as starch, or converted into cellulose to build cell walls. This process, pulling carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and converting it into energy-rich sugars, says the foundation of nearly every food chain on Earth. A global impact. Photosynthesis isn't just a quiet miracle. It has shaped our entire planet. Over billions of years, it has transformed Earth's atmosphere by pumping oxygen into the air. In a very real sense, the oxygen in every breath you take is a gift from photosynthesis. This process also plays a crucial role in climate regulation. By pulling carbon dioxide from the air and storing it in plants and the soil, so the next time you sit in a patch of sunlight or notice a tree swaying in the breeze, take a moment to thank the humble chloroplast. It's a tiny factory that never clocks out, turning light into life, one photon at a time. The secret life of plants. Imagine being a plant. You can't run or hide, and your day job is to stand in one place while things nibble on you or block your sunlight. And yet, you survive and thrive. One of the key reasons for this success is a kind of slow-motion behavior driven by plant hormones. These are chemical messengers that help plants respond to light, gravity, touch, injury, and countless other signals. Instead of circulating in a bloodstream, they move through plant sap and cell membranes, triggering changes as they go. One of the most famous plant hormones is auxin. Auxin plays a central role in coordinating growth and is especially important in phototropism, which is the tendency of plants to grow toward light. Auxin is produced in the tips of growing shoots. When light hits one side of the plant, the auxin moves to the shaded side. This causes the cells on the darker side to elongate more than the ones on the lighter side, making the plant bend toward the light. Auxin also guides root growth, but with the opposite effect. It slows cell elongation, causing roots to bend downward in response to gravity. A cast of hormonal charactersome doesn't act alone. Plants have a whole cast of hormonal characters. Gibberellins. These are powerful growth promoters that help elongate stems, break seed dormancy, and trigger flowering. They are the contractors, pushing the plant's design upward and outward. Cytokinins. These hormones promote cell division and often play a counterbalancing role to auxin. The ratio between auxin and cytokinins can determine whether a plant puts more energy into growing up or digging down. A. BSCIC acid. Think of this as the plant's emergency brake. It helps the plant deal with stress, especially drought, by signaling the tiny pores on the leaves, called stomata, to close to conserve water. It also helps seeds stay dormant until conditions are right for sprouting. Ethylene. This is a gaseous hormone that acts like a plant's internal clock and social cue. Ethylene helps ripen fruit, wilt flowers, and cause leaves to fall. If you've ever noticed that a banana ripens other fruit nearby, that's ethylene at work.